Mummy, my husband has a boyfriend.
Wait a minute, hold on.
Miriam freezes, her eyes blink twice, confused. She clears her throat and folds one last shirt before looking up slowly. Of course, she did not hear well.
Let me tell you my story. I was in 200 level at the University of Ife, studying biochemistry. Not the type to party, not the type to talk much either. I was just there, trying to survive school and make my family proud. That day in the library, everything changed. I was studying with my best friend Kemi, buried in my textbooks, when she suddenly shouted, "Let's go, Kim. Library is not heaven." Her voice was way too loud, and a few people turned to stare. That's when I saw him, Kenny, tall, slim, glasses, and this quiet, almost shy way about him. He wasn't the kind of handsome that hits you at first sight, but something about him made me look twice. He was in 500 level, final year computer engineering, working on this robotic door project, something that would later change how hospitals open and close their doors, and so many other innovative he has up his sleeves. His lecturer believed in him so much, they pushed him to make sure it was world-class. He noticed me staring, looked down shyly, then, after a moment, he closed his laptop and walked over. "Hi, I'm Kenny. I think I've seen you around here," he said softly. I was shocked, but smiled. "Yeah, I come here a lot." He smiled back and said, "Libraries make it easy to think." Then he asked for my number. After that day in the library, Kenny and I started seeing each other more. It wasn't some loud, dramatic campus romance, no grand gestures, no crazy parties, just quiet, meaningful moments. Stolen between lectures and library study sessions. He once showed me his robotic door prototype, built from cardboard and wire. I didn't understand all the tech talk, but I loved watching him talk about it. His eyes would light up, and his hands moved like he was building the future. It made me fall deeper. We studied late together in the hostel's common room. Sometimes I'd bring him food when he was pulling an ornate coding, and he'd help me break down the madness of biochemistry formulas. We were building something, slowly, steadily. Kenny wasn't the social type. He kept his circle small. Just Edward and Ray, his two closest friends. Equality guys, focused, ambitious. The kind of people you just know are going to become something someday. They'd hang out with Kemi and me sometimes. It felt safe. It felt like family. People around us noticed too. Friends would whisper, "You two look good together," and I believed it. Kenny was kind, focused, loyal, the kind of man you build a life with. I loved how he loved me after he graduated. He got posted to Port Harcourt for NYSC, landed a job almost immediately after. I visited when I could. Those weekends were everything. Then, a month into my final year, I returned from one of those visits feeling sick, tired, bloated. Kemi, being Kemi, joked and handed me a pregnancy test. I laughed. We were careful. I wasn't even worried until I saw it. 2 lines. I just stared. "Pregnant," Kemi screamed. "Call Kenny." But I couldn't. Not right away. 2 weeks passed before I told him. His reaction, shock, then joy. He was happy. He took time off work and rushed to campus the very next day. We were both confused, but we were in it together. He met with my key lecturers, made special arrangements for me. Some classes would go online, and for the rest, he promised to take trips with me monthly. That's how much he loved me. That's the kind of man Kenny was. But then, something changed. One weekend, at his place in Port Harcourt, I felt it. Blood. Just like that, I lost the baby. Kenny was devastated. But then, something in him snapped. It was the first time I ever saw him truly angry. He turned to me and asked, cold and hard, "Did you terminate the baby?" I froze. How could he ask me that? I had once said just in passing that I wasn't sure I could handle school and a baby, but I would never do anything to harm our child. Still, the damage was done. The question hurt deeper than anything else. I packed my things and went back to school, carrying more than just grief, carrying a crack that would never fully heal. Back at school, I was a mess. Kemi tried everything to cheer me up. One day, she looked at me, shook her head, and said, "This is why I want to remain single. I don't have the heart for all this." I actually laughed for the first time in weeks. 2 weeks later, Kenny came back. He looked different, quieter, softer, sorry. He booked a room at a hotel nearby, took me there to talk, and then he pulled out a ring. "I want to have you all to myself for the rest of my life," he said. I said yes. I was happy, but not joyous. We got married 6 months after I graduated. The wedding was beautiful, the honeymoon peaceful, but cold. There was a distance I couldn't explain. I tried, but grief doesn't just disappear. You carry it, and sometimes it carries you. Still, we moved on. Work was good. Kenny was thriving, working with one of the top 5 tech companies in the country, running a side business too. Money wasn't the issue, but something else was. 5 years passed. No children. Kemi was in the US by then, pursuing her PhD. One day, during a call, she said, "Kim, have you gone to the hospital?" And I realized I hadn't. I brought it up with Kenny. He agreed, said we'd go together. But when the appointment day came, he didn't show. Not the first time, not the second, not the third. I went alone. I got checked. I tried. But something in me said this isn't right. This isn't the Kenny I knew. This wasn't the man I fell in love with. I did all the tests alone. I cried in that cold hospital bathroom, holding the results that said nothing was wrong with me. Nothing, and yet no child, no explanation, just silence. I needed him to be part of this. He wasn't. I tried talking to him, but he always brushed it off. "We're fine. God's time is the best. Stop stressing, it's not good for you." But it was more than that. He had grown distant, cold, polite, even like a roommate. He still kissed me goodbye in the mornings, still smiled when guests came over, but behind closed doors, we were strangers. Then I noticed the change in his phone, habits, passwords updated, calls, in the bathroom, late nights at the office. I wasn't crazy. Something was wrong. This wasn't the Kenny who used to hold my hand like it was the most sacred thing in the world. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I picked up his second phone, he thought. I didn't know he had one. I didn't go digging. I just opened it. And there it wasn't a girl like I had suspected. It was a man, Chili Ray's brother. I was mad, I was angry, I was shaking. Before this discovery, my mum had just lost her husband. After the funeral, we both agreed she needed a break, a vacation. We planned to go together. Just 5 days in France, I had already made up my mind to cancel. How could I travel now? How could I leave this storm unresolved? But then, a thought came. I gave myself a moment. I breathed, and I made a decision. I would still go. France was only 6 hours away. I would make the trip with my mum, but first I needed to return to Port Harcourt, tie up a few things, get my head straight. I told my mum, forget what I said earlier. I was wrong. She smiled, relieved. "I've told you not to overthink things," she said happily. In 12 hours, I was back from Port Harcourt with a small suitcase in hand, and with my sweet, grieving mother. We boarded the flight. France, here we come. My mother, bless her, was all smiles. She'd never been to Europe before. She kept looking around, marveling at the little things, how the announcements sounded in French, how the air smelled different, how even the airport seats looked more polite. Me. I was there but not there. My thoughts were stuck on Kenny, on Chile, that hidden life. And yet I had promised myself 5 days, just 5 days to breathe. 5 days to be a daughter instead of a broken wife. Our hotel was this charming little place on the edge of Montmartre, warm light, creaky floors, and a view of the Eiffel Tower if you tilted your head just right. I stood by the window, watching. Couples stroll the cobbled streets below, some holding hands, some laughing. I hated how beautiful everything looked. My mom came up beside me, her hands wrapped around a cup of herbal tea. She looked at me for a long while. Then she said something that surprised me. You don't have to fix everything today, my love. You just have to survive it. We went walking through a flower market the next morning, then spent the day visiting a few beautiful places my mum had written down. The same happened the next day, and the next. The activities were simple but fulfilling. I'm glad she enjoyed them. At one point, my mother chatted with a vendor in broken English, buying too many tulips. And then, out of nowhere, I laughed. Actually laughed. Something about how she tried to say rose in French and ended up saying rice. That laugh scared me, because I hadn't heard it in weeks, maybe months. And I realized that pain doesn't erase who you are. It just buries it for a while. That night, back at the hotel, his name flashed across my screen. My love, Kenny, he'd texted. Hope you arrived safely. Tell your mum I said hi. Just that. No mention of the phone, or Chile, or anything real. I stared at the message for a full 10 minutes before locking the screen. No reply. Not now. Not here. On our last night, my mother and I climbed the stairs of Montmartre. From the top, Paris looked like a galaxy, twinkling lights. Endless movement. She took my hand. Whatever you choose when we get back, I'm with you. I nodded, tears stinging again, but not from pain this time. From love. The kind of love that stays, even when everything else changes. We landed in Lagos late at night. I hugged my mum tightly at the airport, whispered a thank you for being my safe space, and watched her taxi drive away. Then I got into mine. Back to Port Harcourt. Back to him. Back to answers. The drive was quiet, but my mind loud. A week before the France trip, when Kenny's lies had grown too loud to ignore, I did something I never imagined I'd do. I planted cameras. One in the kitchen, one in the hallway, one facing our bed. I told myself it was paranoia, that I'd probably delete it all without watching. But now I needed the truth to have a voice, even if it screamed. I walked into the house like a stranger. The lights were dim. Everything smelled like cinnamon and silence. He wasn't home, probably still at the office. I locked the door, dropped my bag, and walked straight to the drawer where I kept the flash drive. My hands were shaking before I even plugged it in. The footage started slow. Days I recognized. Evenings I remembered. Me in the kitchen, making jollof rice. Him walking in. No kiss, no touch. Just a nod, fast forward. Him pacing in the living room. Phone pressed to his ear, laughing, whispering, I miss you too. Then came the night after my trip. I watched him in our bedroom, pouring wine. 2 glasses. My breath caught, then he walked in. Chilly, not a friend, not a guest, but something else, something deeper, something I had no word for. They kissed, slow, deep, and long, familiar, unapologetic. I froze. I couldn't even cry. Not yet. I watched more than I should have. He touched him the way he hadn't touched me in months. He held him the way I used to be held. like oxygen. Then it hit me. It was never me. It was never about stress or God's timing or anything I thought I lacked. It was a truth he never gave me the respect of knowing. I dropped to the floor. No strength, no scream, just sobs, ugly, gasping sobs that came from a part of me I didn't know existed. I cried until my voice left, until my throat burned, until my chest ached from holding in too much for too long. The footage was still playing. 2 long hours of betrayal. 2 hours of truth I never asked for. 2 hours of watching the man I married become a stranger, become a man to another man. I didn't even hear the door unlock, but I felt him the moment he walked in. Tension cracked in the air like lightning. He stepped forward quietly, dropping his keys on the console like he always did. But then he saw me sitting stiff on the floor, laptop open, the frame on the screen frozen. Our eyes met. That kind of look that needs no words. Then his gaze dropped to the screen, and there it was. Him and Chili, naked, exposed, tangled in something so passionate it mocked every night he told me, "I'm just tired." His mouth parted slightly. He didn't speak, didn't deny, didn't flinch. I wanted to scream, throw the laptop at him, ask him why, how, when, oh my God, why? But the words caught in my throat, heavy, burning, unspoken. So I just sat there, like a statue carved from disbelief and heartbreak. Breathing, but barely. He took a slow step forward, then one back, like he wasn't sure if I would explode or disappear. "Kim." He finally said my name, soft, cautious, like it was made of glass, like he feared it would shatter in his mouth. I looked away. I couldn't bear to see his face wearing anything close to shame, because shame would mean he cared. And in that moment, I wasn't sure he did. I stood up slowly. My knees cracked from sitting too long in sorrow. I walked past him. Our shoulders brushed. He didn't stop me. Didn't follow Dodd in the bathroom. I splashed cold water on my face. Stared hard at the woman in the mirror. Eyes swollen. Lips trembling. A soul I could barely recognize. That night, I didn't sleep in that house. I walked out, booked a nearby hotel with shaky hands, cried into their stiff white pillow until dawn. The next morning, I went back to the house, packed a bag, clothes, a few essentials. Then something pulled me toward the frames on the shelf. Our pictures from when we first met, to birthdays, to anniversaries. I grabbed every one I could find. Why? I didn't know. Maybe it was muscle memory. Maybe it was grief holding on to pieces of us. I texted my best friend, "Coming to see you," booked a flight. Kemi didn't ask a single question. Didn't even type, "What happened?" She just replied, "I'll be at JFK. I've got you." I flew to the US to Kemi, my sister from another mother, in every way that mattered. The one who promised, "If the world ever breaks you, I'll help you pick up the pieces." She met me at the airport with a warm blanket and my favorite juice. She didn't say a word, just hugged me like she was holding up my bones. "Rest," she whispered. And for the first time in weeks, I did. I slept, without clenching my jaw, without flinching from dreams. When I was ready, she booked a therapist for me. A woman of God, gentle eyes, strong voice. Someone who didn't judge. Someone who reminded me that healing isn't just for the hurt. It's also for the hopeful. I sat on her brown leather couch and told my truth, loudly, tearfully, broken lie, and slowly, very slowly. I started to come back to myself. But love is a strange, wild thing. So is grief. 2 months later, I found myself sitting on Kemi's floor, surrounded by our old photos. staring at his smile, the way he used to look at me, the way he used to love me. And suddenly, the question shifted. No longer, why me, but what now? And the answer came like a whisper in my spirit. Try. Not because he deserved it, not because I forgot, but because I remembered. The man I married, not the one he became. So I booked a return flight to Port Harcourt, packed up my courage, and went back. He was home, thin, tired, ashamed. He opened the door like someone expecting judgment, or worse. But I didn't yell, didn't cry. I just said, we talk. Now, all of it. And we did. He told the truth. Said he'd known since he was a teenager. Tried to bury it in religion, in marriage, in me. Said he loved me, still does. But he was broken, and didn't know how to ask for help. So we went back to therapy, together. This time, it was messy, ugly, uncomfortable. But it was honest. And that saved us. We didn't rebuild the old version of us. We built something new. Something with cracks, but strong. Today, we have 3 children. Not because we were perfect, but because we tried. Because when love is real, you don't always walk away. Sometimes, you fight for your person. And sometimes, they fight back for you. This is my true story. Sometimes love fails, but sometimes it falls, then learns to walk again. Don't stay where you're being destroyed, but don't run from what can be restored. Get help. Be honest. And if you still believe, fight, because healing is holy and grace is worth giving.